Hey folks, I thought I'd take a minute to give you a quick rundown about muscle tissue. It is one of the tissue types that we are spending some time talking about in this histology unit. When we look at muscle tissue, probably we have a preconception. Probably we think of muscles as being, bulging on our arms or something like that. And that's totally a reasonable thing. But there are many functions of muscle tissue. And as you can see here, I've highlighted a few. For example, skeletal muscles move us, right? Any movements that we choose to do are the result of skeletal muscles doing the moving. If we talk about some other functions of skeletal muscles, some secondary functions, when we're cold, you've probably all been cold before and you've probably all shivered. That heat generation is a function of skeletal muscle action. And the last one is sort of a generalized function. If you think of muscles, they pretty much cover all our organs and protect all our organs. In that capacity, muscles serve as a structure and protection. And obviously, that's sort of an important function. But that's pretty much it for the skeletal muscle functions. If we talk about cardiac muscle, it really only has one function, and that function is to pump blood. And here you can see the heart pumping away. Cardiac muscle is quite interesting, and we will talk more about it when we get to the heart. There's a lot more than really is germane to the histology discussion. And the last one is smooth muscle. And I've shown you here an image of somebody swallowing liquid, and you can see the liquid move to the back of their throat. And as soon as they swallow, as soon as they initiate swallowing, from there on down, the action is the result of smooth muscle. The esophagus squeezes, kind of like when you squeeze a tube of toothpaste. It's very similar in nature. So the smooth muscle squeezes the food down through the digestive tract in one example. We also see that the blood vessel walls have smooth muscle in them, and those smooth muscles are going to either relax or contract. And as you might guess, when they relax, blood pressure drops, and when they contract, blood pressure rises. And our body responds to changing environmental conditions, changing needs by altering our blood pressure within a range, not sort of an unlimited capacity, but within a range. And smooth muscles are involuntary muscles. They move without our say-so. They basically do things without our conscious control. If you had to think about moving food through your digestive tract and that sort of stuff, squeezing food through the ducts of glands and things like that, I'm sure you'd forget, and consequently you would be in bad shape. If we look at skeletal muscle, as I mentioned, this is what we think of when we think of muscle. The cells themselves, if we take a look at the slide here, we can see a micrograph of muscle, and we see that these cells are striated, meaning they have these sort of striped appearance. This type of muscle has a very clear striation, and that is one of the names for skeletal muscle, sometimes called striated muscle. These cells also have more than one nucleus. The result is that sometimes we call this a syncytium. A syncytium is a mass of cells that share kind of communication directly. They don't necessarily have complete membrane separation between them and so on. Skeletal muscle falls into that category, and that's a result of it being multinucleate. It's actually one skeletal muscle cell is made up of many cellular units, essentially. Cardiac muscle also has a slightly striated appearance, but less so. But one of the noteworthy characteristics of cardiac muscle is, or are these structures here called intercalated discs. These are junctions between cells, and they help facilitate the rhythmic contraction of the heart muscle. Heart muscle cells are mononucleate, meaning they only have one nucleus per cell. And generally speaking, when we look at them under a stain, under a microscope, we're going to see those intercalated discs, and we're going to see the nuclei, and we might see striations as well. Okay, so that's what we'd be looking for in a micrograph. And the last one here is smooth muscle. Smooth muscle cells are mononucleate also. They have sort of a long, thin appearance. It's described as being spindle-shaped, but if you don't know what a spindle is, it's sort of like a stretched football shape. These cells are found, as I mentioned, in the walls of the digestive organs, in the walls of glandular ducts, in the walls of blood vessels and things like that. And they appear smooth. We don't see any striation here. It's just kind of smooth flowing lines here, and that's how they got their name. And as I said, these are all going to be covered in greater detail when we talk about smooth muscle as part of the organ systems it's associated with, when we talk about cardiac muscle that's associated with the heart and heart function, and when we talk about skeletal muscle when we delve into the skeletal muscle unit. So all these are going to be covered in much more detail at a later time.